As we know, the Lions are going to be facing a very tough opponent in San Francisco in the upcoming days. And a lot of us are asking ourselves, how did Detroit make it this far, right? We know their offense is explosive. Okay, we know it. But with a Super Bowl on the line, do we think that they could beat the 1 seed in the NFC with that defense? Well, I looked at the film to really find it out. How have they been winning playoff games? And looking at the film against the Bucs, it was very clear that despite the secondary being as weak as it is, that D-line has some dogs, and they have the ability to constantly shut down run games, 1, and 2, get in quarterbacks' faces, okay? And it's really hard to take advantage of a secondary that is a little bit suspect when you have someone like Aiden Hutchinson or Aleem McNeil in your face on seemingly every given play. And I dove into the film and came to the conclusion that Detroit's defense is going to keep them in this game. It is. I'm going to go over some plays that really show why I think that. This play right here, I want you to watch 2 people. One, number 6, Melifonwu, a cornerback. He's going to go on a blitz here, and they're going to do a very good job disguising it. Aaron Glenn was throwing a lot of blitzes at Baker Mayfield, and they pretty much all worked in this game. The blitz packages were really impressive all game long, but I'm not really here to talk about that too much. I want to talk about how their defensive front, how their linemen are able to get pressure on the quarterback as often as they do. And this specific play, the D lineman that I want you to look at is Aiden Hutchinson, none other than their best edge, the guy who gets all the credit, and he deserves a lot of the credit that he gets. So the play is going to start up. I'm going to show you how they disguise the blitz really quick. You see Melifonwu, he's following Godwin out of the box. Now, Baker, he's assuming that Melifonwu isn't going to come. So when he does end up blitzing, which he will, Baker's caught completely off guard. In fact, he doesn't even notice until Melifonwu hits him. But the important thing here is Melifonwu is going to be the contained guy, meaning that Aiden Hutchinson is going to be working inside here. And he does a great job getting to Mayfield here. It's not just a free rusher that gives Baker problems here. Because if it was just Melifonwu getting into the pocket, then Baker would be able to step up. But that's not what's happening here. Instead, Hutchinson is going to extend his arms, right? As a D lineman, your job is to get separation from the O lineman. The O linemen want to get inside your shoulder pads and get a strong grip. I know that it's holding, but they never call it if it's inside, okay? So the O lineman wants to keep Aiden Hutchinson tight. He wants to keep him close by, and he wants to not really give him room to work with. As the D lineman, you're trying to get space in between you and the O lineman so you can work better moves, right? This way you could slap hands away, and you just have more ability to move freely. So this is a really good move by Aiden Hutchinson to really just bench press the O lineman away from him, right? So the play continues, and now using the space that he got, he just hits a rip. He just hits a rip. And now he's in great position. But the important thing here, and this is what's so impressive from Hutchinson, it's a little thing, but you don't see the other young edge rushers doing this. It says so much about Aiden Hutchinson's maturity that when he's in a position like this, he knows Melifonwu is going to come in free because he's on the offensive tackle, right? The offensive tackle picked him up. There wasn't a tight end in the formation. There was no running back left to block Melifonwu. Aiden Hutchinson is aware that there's going to be a free cornerback blitz right there, and Melifonwu is going to get in Baker's face. So instead of going straight for where Baker is, he's going to go a little bit to the side that he's going to have to run to, right? Baker Mayfield is going to have to run to his left because Melifonwu is coming in free. Okay? And Hutchinson is aware of that, and that's why he goes to Baker's left. Rush lanes, okay? That's the difference between the great D linemen and the good ones, okay? And Hutchinson does a very good job being mature. He might not have gotten the kill shot on Baker Mayfield, but if it weren't for him, this play could have not ended up being a sack, okay? If Hutchinson decided to just, do all that work and then just aim straight for the quarterback, Baker could just step up, and now Melifonwu might not be able to get there, and Baker might get the ball out before Melifonwu gets the sack, okay? And that's under the assumption that Hutchinson whiffs. He could have not whiffed, and it would have been a sack either way, but it's the little stuff that's the difference between an edge rusher like Aiden Hutchinson and a less disciplined edge like someone that went in the same draft class, Kayvon Thibodeau, right? Travon Walker. It's these little differences that really elevate him over the other young edge rushers in this league. Really impressive play by the Lions here. We know that Aiden Hutchinson versus Luke Gedeke is a winning matchup for the Lions. There's no doubts about that. We knew that coming into this week. But how about the rest of the D-line, right? How about the rest? Right here, the linebackers are mugged up for Detroit. That means that they're lining up on the guard's shoulders, right? And on the line of scrimmage. And both of them are going to drop back. This is a 2nd and 19. Likely a passing situation. Of course, there's no running back in the backfield, so you're ready to pin your ears back and get to the quarterback. Maybe it's a designed QB run, but on 2nd and 19, and you have 6 guys on the line of scrimmage, it's unlikely. So this is a passing down right here. This is what they refer to as a true passing down because the Lions know that they are going to pass the football here. And this is a really good job by Aleem McNeil and Josh Paschal here. Both of them do a great job. So I'm going to let the play run a little bit. Baker's making his checks on the line of scrimmage, and then boom, play starts up. We have Paschal doing a double swipe to get on Baker Mayfield. He has the one-on-one here. You're not expecting Aleem McNeil to do too much because you have 1-2 on 1, right? Paschal has the best spot to make a play here. And, well, luckily for Detroit, he does. He works that double swipe. It works really well. And he can't get straight to Baker Mayfield, but he really screws up the pocket here. Baker wants to escape over here, and Aleem McNeil, who has been great all year, he is going to do what he can to prevent Baker from making what should be a sack into a positive gain, right? And McNeil, he does a good job, but over-pursues is the problem. He had the right idea, but he over-pursued. And it isn't as bad as it looks right now because he kind of made Baker Mayfield run directly into his own offensive lineman. And just that muddied up pocket that Baker had to get through allowed Alex Anzalone to get to the perfect spot to make a play on Baker. Keep in mind, this is 2nd and 19. If you allow any play that isn't a 9-yard gain, you feel very confident. And even then, even if you do allow a 9-yard gain, it's still 3rd and long, right? So, holding Baker Mayfield to a 1-yard rush on that, even though a sack obviously would have been better, that's great. That is great, because now the Buccaneers are going to be in a 3rd and 18 situation. It's very difficult to succeed under those circumstances. On this one, the Lions start the playoff, line up in a bare front, and then this outside linebacker right here is going to leave the box, and I'll show you the motion that led to that happening. Okay, So now we look at this. If you're the Buccaneers, where do you want to run the ball? Either here, and the tight end opens up the lane, or here. Really, you have two gaps that you feel very comfortable running the ball. You have a lot of space. Okay. It's all about taking Jack Campbell out of the play. He's the big threat here if you are going to run outside zone. It's 2nd and 6, so the Buccaneers are going to run the ball. And, like I said, they're going to run outside zone. The play starts up, and this is a very textbook example of how you defend outside zone. Every single player in the front took a step towards the play. They were all looking at the quarterback, looking at the running back, read the offensive line's feet, and they're taking the right steps, the right way. Campbell is going to fire straight into this gap and then hold a stalemate. As a linebacker, that's a key thing here. It is a lot easier to defend the run if every one of your players can anchor themselves down, can hold their gap on the line of scrimmage, and that's something that shows play after play after play with Detroit, because it's not just the defensive linemen, it's the linebackers, right? Jack Campbell is doing a very good job here. I mean, if you're Chase Edmonds, where do you go? Where do you go here? There is no gap. There's nowhere you could try and run the ball. All you can do is lower your shoulder and hope for the best. Maybe you get a yard, right? This is a great job by the Lions. Great job in pursuit. Everything about it. I mean, Alex Anzalone does a great job looking at the running back, making sure that he sees the hole that the running back is going to try and hit, because that's the way it works, right? The good linebackers are the ones that are trying to get into the running back's head. Look at where the running back is trying to go, and then you get into that gap, unless you're blitzing, of course. And Anzalone isn't responsible for a gap here, so he's just going to go wherever there's an open lane and clog it up. And like I said, every player is stepping towards the play, which makes it a lot harder for outside zone to work. A lot harder. I mean, there, once again, is nowhere for Chase Edmonds to run this ball. Nowhere. And I also want to give credit to the defensive line for eventually making the tackle, right? He didn't even get the chance to lower his shoulder, really. He kind of just went down immediately. That is a great stop by the defense to force the Buccaneers into 3rd and 5. This play right here, the Buccaneers are running duo, meaning that everyone is going to either be blocking back, or if there is not a defender in their backside gap, they are going to combo to play side. They're going to run duo to their left, and Rachaad White, the running back, is going to be looking at pretty much these gaps, all 4 of them, and just reading to see which one is the most open. Ideally, you want to hit it in one of these 2 right here. And the Lions do a great job forcing the play outside, which isn't the worst case scenario, but it isn't your main goal here, right? So these are going to be the blocking assignments here. And watch how little movement the Buccaneers O-line gets as this play goes on. I mean, they do a great job. The Lions defense does a great job just not moving. I mean, there was not a single player on the line of scrimmage that got moved at all, right? And because Aleem McNeil wasn't getting moved at all, number 70 isn't going to be able to get a block on Barnes, so Barnes is going to be able to make this play. You know, Rachaad White had to bounce that outside, because if I rewind it right here, you'll see that there is nowhere to run it. As I said, they don't want to run this play outside, but they will if they have to, right? Ideally, you want to hit it in here, but look at Alex Anzalone. He will make that play. Maybe you want to hit it here, but there's no way you're going to get that play either, because Barnes is coming right over. There's no way you're going to be able to bounce it back over here, because you see Brian Branch, he's going to make that play. So the Buccaneers are in a spot where they pretty much have to make this into an outside run, and Barnes sees that coming and he blows it up. Blows it up. He does a great job here. But the main reason the play worked out, even though no one else got credit, the main reason that this is more of a compliment to Aleem McNeil, to the other members of that defensive line is because Rachaad White had to bounce that outside. He had to run that ball outside because there was no movement on the line of scrimmage. The Lions did a great job holding their ground on that play, and that's why it ultimately ended up being just a 1-yard gain. This play right here by Benito Jones. He's going to get a double team, right? Both the left guard and the center are going to try and attack him, try and stop him from getting to Baker Mayfield. Notice there's no Aiden Hutchinson on the field right here, okay? One of the other D linemen are going to have to step up and make a play right here, and Benito Jones does. Despite getting a double team his way, he just goes ahead and gets in Baker's face. There's not really much analysis for me to give you right here, right? I mean, he hits him with a jab step really quick to Benito Jones's right, and then he starts to mainly work on number 70. And he just pushes him to the side, right? He hits him with a little bit of a swim move, right? Not the best executed swim move in terms of the over, but the club really gets number 70's weight going forward, and he swims right over him. You gotta love it. 64 is starting to look off because, I mean, Benito Jones worked right to 70's left shoulder, okay? There is not much that the guard could do at that point, and Jones just beat him. He just beat him with the swim move, and now he's going to get in Baker's face right here. He doesn't end up getting the sack, but he forces Baker to have to work around him, right? He's not going to hit that check down because he just can't step into that throw now. He tries to work back over here. You're going to watch it play out. He tries to work back over, and he's just so rattled, he decides to throw it out, especially with 91 directly in Baker's face. He just throws the ball out of bounds. This is a great way to force an incompletion. Benito Jones just single-handedly beat a double team. You gotta love seeing that from one of your less known players. What did that game show us? What did that film show us? Well, despite Detroit not having a great secondary, which I don't need to show you film to prove that, there's a lot of evidence throughout the season of it, the Lions' ability to win on the line of scrimmage is what makes that a lot harder to take advantage of than you may think. Now, it's important to remember San Francisco has Trent Williams, but then besides that, the rest of the offensive line isn't great, okay? Detroit is going to be able to get in Purdy's face consistently in this game. It's just a question of, is that enough, right? Because the rest of the matchup that isn't on the line of scrimmage, it's really concerning, right? The 49ers want to throw across the middle of the field. The Lions linebackers aren't very good in coverage, all right? And, of course, we know the secondary isn't great. Deebo Samuel's supposed to be playing. It doesn't seem extremely likely for Detroit. But I ask you not to rule them out, because you have a team that is highly motivated to bring home their first Lombardi in a very long time. And they have a way to win this game. They have a possible game script that could allow them to win the game. And it's all going to revolve around Aiden Hutchinson and the boys killing Brock Purdy play after play after play. And I think that that's very possible here. Anyway, that's just my thought. If you like the video, leave a like. And if you want to see more content like this, feel free to subscribe. I also have a podcast I've been doing that's in my link tree, which I'm also going to put down below. Thank you again for listening, and I hope you have a nice day.